Hello everyone, this is Sanjeev from interviewbox.tech. Thanks for coming to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about Python decorators and generators. So decorators allow user to add new functionality to the existing function without editing the original function. So for example, you have a function where you are doing some logic, some functionality, and you want to add extra functionality in there. So either you can edit your original function and add the new functionality in there, or you can use the decorator function to add the functionality. So by using the decorator function, you don't have to edit your original function, and you can use your original function wherever you want, or you can use the new decorator function with the extra functionality. So decorator function defined with the @operator, and you basically placed your decorator function with @sign on top of your original function to tell Python that this function is going to be used in the decorator function. So here's the syntax that you use the decorator function with @sign, define your original function, do some logic. So let's go to the PyCharm and try to create a decorator function. Okay, so here I am in the PyCharm window. So let's create a new file. So I create a new file, decorators. So let's try to create a simple method first. Like for example, I can say my car, write like a print statement here. Okay, so I create a simple function, write down like car model is Tesla Model X. It's just a print statement. Execute this function. Okay, so let's try to execute, and you see the output here is car model X, Tesla Model X. Okay, so if you want to add like a more functionality with this function, so let's create a decorator function for that. So let's create another function. We can say car description. And as you seen in my previous tutorial where I talk about the function, right? So there I gave the example that you can pass like variable as an input in your function, or you can pass like a list or dictionary. But here, as we are trying to decorate a function, so we will pass our original function as an input to our decorator function. So here the input will be our original function name. So let's create a variable, you can say like input function. So we'll work on that. So let's create a wrapper here. So wrapper is nothing, basically it will be your original function with the new functionality that you are adding. So let's create this car details, and in that we will add functionalities. So for example, you want to add like some new functionality before your original function. So you can say, for example, you say like my car color is blue, and then your original function, and then now we can add more functionality here. That will be like car has Boss music system. Okay, so your original function has this functionality that you added the print statement, and now you are creating a decorator function. Passing input is your input function. You create a wrapper function where you have added extra functionality with your original function, and now let's return this wrapper. So now you're returning this, right? So here's the decorator function created. So now let's execute this decorator function. So we can put this in another variable. So let's create car info, because I want to show you something here, like what exactly uh, this decorator function return. So here we can pass our original function name, like my car. So you pass that. Okay, so now let's comment it out this part. Okay, so you have to execute this car info. Okay, so you see uh, what it does. Basically, it take your original function as an input, and then it added this functionality, like my car color is blue, and then it calls your original function and then added more functionality. And this whole thing, you are just returning the output from this car description, that is your decorator function, and you are getting that into like another like a variable. And but this card description, if you see here, it's not returning like some kind of like just a value. It's returning the function, because you created this card detail as a function here. So it's returning the function, and that function you are getting into the car info, and then you are executing that function, the car info. That's where you get all this output. But as you see, like this is very kind of tedious process, right, to write this and this. So I want to show you like how you can use that symbol with the decorator function. So let's comment it out this part, and we have to get this down kind of right here, or okay, because I want to show you like how to use that. So we can comment it out this part here to be more clear. Okay, so this will be as it is. You don't have to make any changes right here. But what you're gonna do is, so use @ and then your decorator function name, and your decorator function name is car description. So you use that here on top of your function name. So now if you call your function, like your original function right here, so when Python will see this @car description, it will know like, okay, this function has to be used in a decorator function. So it will go back to car description, pass that your original function name here input, and added the more functionality with that, and return the output. So now let's execute this, your original function name, and you see it basically return everything. So that's how you can add the extra functionality, but it's very simple, right? For example, you say like, I don't want this extra functionality anymore in my program. I just want to use my original functionality. So you can just comment it out this part. It's like an on-off switch here. So now if you call your original function execution, so you see you will only see the output from your function, like right here. So it will basically when you comment it out, it is just turn off this extra functionality. So that's how you use the decorator in your program. Now let's jump to the next concept, that is generator. So let's go back to the keynote. Okay, so generator is basically like in the regular function, right? When you call that function and you have like some kind of return statement in there, so it just return the value and the function execution is complete. But when you use the generator function, instead of using the return statement, it uses the yield statement. And what it's doing is basically yielding the value, and instead of like upfront storing all the values in memory, is basically giving you like one by one. Is it don't like fill up the space in memory for all the values that you have. So we will go to the PyCharm, and I will show you the example for both scenario, and then that will be like you will understand better. So generator functions suspend and resume their execution according to the last point of value generated. So it will basically get first value, and then it will just hold there, then go to the second value, something like that. It's not like the regular function that give you the whole output and then exit out. One of the example is the range function. That's a Python built-in generator function. So now let's go to the PyCharm and execute some command and create our own generator function. So for that, let's create another file. I can say generators. So first look at the simple example without using the generator function. So let's create, for example, so what I'm going to do is like have some list, for example, 1 2 3 4 5. So I created this list, and now what I'm going to do is I want to get the final output is like each item in the list is multiplied by 10. So then my final output will be another list with the 10 20 30 40 50. So for that, for example, I create a list, like an empty list, and what I'm going to do is for num in my list, I will just append num into 10. So what I'm going to do, I'm going using the for loop, going each and every item in the my list and multiplying that item with 10 and adding that item into the output list that I created, and at the end I can just return output. So let's execute this method and we'll see. So when we'll use the multiple of 10, so puts in a variable, and then let's print the products. Okay, so let's execute this. As you see here, so it returned the output of 10 20 30 40 50, but the problem here is like it's taking a space up front in the memory, like you created a new list output and you added all the element, and then it basically taking all the space in memory and returning the output back to you. So instead of that, like this is just like a 5 items, right? But you could have like millions of items, for example, in your list, and it will be like a lot of memory consumption on your system. So now what we're going to do is we will use generator function to solve this problem. So let's try to create another, let's comment it out this part. Okay, so I'm creating the same function, but I just want to show you so let's create this method, and the same thing, I'm going to create a list of 5, and I will do the same thing. So this time I'm not going to use the upfront like output list to save the result, but what I will do is for num in my list, I will yield that output. So here I'm yielding. So what is going to do here basically execute that transaction like num into 10 for first element, and then keep it there. And when you call the next iteration, then it will calculate the next value. So here, if we try to execute this, so for example, you say like call this method. So what it's going to do is basically return you the generator function. So here you see it's return you like an object of this generator function. So that means like if you use the iterator and the next on the on this generator object, then you will get like value one at a time. Or you can use the for loop and then you can get all the values. So that's how you do. But for example, like the previous function, you want to get the list of all the elements together, you can just use the list method, and you can say multiple of 10, and then it will give you the list of items. So let's execute this, and you see here your output is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, but we don't want that. So just comment it out that and comment it out that. And how you can use the iter and the next, I just want to show you like how you can execute. So you can create a variable like iterator, and you can say okay, oh, you don't have to do that, so just call that multiple of tens. So now you put this generator function object into iterator. So now whenever you call the next on this iterator, you will get the values. So for example, if I execute now, it will give you just the value 10. So right here, and when you want to get the next value, you have to repeat this next statement. Like for example, I repeat 3 times. Okay, so let's execute this, and you see it's 10, 20, 30. So that's how you get the value from the generator function. So instead of taking all the memory up front, you can just iterate over on the value that how many values you want, or it's kind of like a on demand things. So you can also iterate like all values by using the for loop. So for example, you say for item in iterator, and you say print item. So instead of these values, so let execute, and you see you get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So that's how you can get the value. So and save the memory without using the upfront, like for example this list that you create here. So that's all for the decorators and generators function. So if you like this video, please press the like button and please subscribe my channel, and thank you very much again for coming to my channel, and I'm looking forward to see you guys in my next tutorial. Thank you and have a great day.